Free play. Tanaka looks up. Raffaele, it's going to be the try for the new player. Kenki Fukuoka. Just on, just over. Japan take the lead.
Hi guys, welcome to the Rugby Digest. With me I have Jacob and Zubair.
Hey, welcome.
And
Hey,
this
guys.
week we are literally covering the Rugby World Cup updates. So straight into the swing of things. Yet another weekend or week of refereeing controversy, but ultimately we're going to try and not focus on that because there were actual games that were played and worth talking about. So guys, how are we feeling about the Rugby World Cup so far?
There's been a lot of upsets, which has actually made it a lot more exciting for me. But at the same time, the refs are the main talking point. I think every game. I don't know how you feel about that. But.
Yeah, I think the rugby hasn't been up to the standard that I expected. Maybe in the tier 2 versus tier 1 nations. The quality of rugby hasn't been there because none of the top nations have really lay down a mark or play to full strength. I feel like there's a lot of conserving of energy going at the moment. But when the tier 1 nations are facing each other, those games are epic. All of the games so far have been pretty good, except that early Ireland versus Scotland blowout. But yeah, this week we've had a couple of upsets, a couple of interesting results. So it's finally livening up, actually, in essence, the contest at least.
But still the refs. But anyway, we'll get to that later.
Yeah, we'll get to the refs later.
Should we talk about the Springboks to start off with?
Yeah, let's start with the Springboks.
Well, we got the 5 points that we needed. The guys, got a chance to flex their muscles against Namibia. Not a hard job to have done. And, it could have been a complete and utter annihilation. But they actually kept it relatively polite on the scoreboard, all things considered. Only a 54-point difference.
Yeah, well, I was expecting a bit more, actually. We didn't play well. We should really have scored 100 points, 80 points to 100 points against
the forwards
Namibia.
lay down a platform and the backs just didn't do anything.
Alton had a shocker, which was...
He had one of the worst games I've seen him have.
Under no pressure, Why are
Just
you playing so bad?
Unable to kick.
He kicked one out on the full.
even
There were a
just
couple
passing.
of dropped balls.
Maybe he was out on the jewel the night before.
He didn't get it going at all, especially considering the platform that the forwards did lay. The scrum edging. Jeez, Vincent Koch was absolutely destroying the
But
Namibian
also
factor.
with who were playing Namibia, mate.
True, but you've got to do it. It was a sight to behold when they were going backwards at a rate of knots.
Great to see.
The line-out was solid. We didn't lose one. Luton and RG
were just destroying them.
Luton was
up front.
sensational. Back to his 2015 form where he was the best player in the country. I still think he's the best option with Etzebeth. Just in terms of pure talent, Luton is probably the most talented outside of RG because he has everything.
I agree with you.
Jeez, he was just so powerful,
But
man. He has that X factor.
But was Namibia a true litmus test?
It wasn't, but you can only play against what's in front of you.
Yeah, it's the first time
And-
we've gotten to see him, so, well, starting at least.
He played so well. Which other players do you think played well?
Really stoked to see Galant get a good go at it.
Yeah,
I thought he looked solid at the back. They did put up some testers. Not that they were actually competing, but...
there wasn't any real pressure on him, to be honest, but he made a couple of errors, but he always looks good on attack. If you're going to give him front foot ball, he's going to tear teams to shreds. He did look quite dangerous, obviously, when he got the ball. But again, Namibia was nothing to write home about. We should have scored a lot more points. Mapimpi was good as well. He's got a double.
You redeemed
Again,
himself.
He was
he's a
okay,
finisher,
but-
pure finisher.
After, I don't know, I've lost all my confidence in him.
Really?
Dude, you can't fuck out against New Zealand like that. That's all I'm going to say. Like,
I think that other
he needs to rebuild this confidence now as this World Cup goes on. I mean, he's definitely going to be a starter, but
Yeah, and of course he didn't get much ball. So
Yeah, at
shame,
all.
Like,
Which is, would have been the good platform.
we
for
didn't
him to
get
do
much
it.
space at least. What do you think of the centres, Frans Steyn?
Frans Steyn had a solid game. I think he got a lot of go forward.
He did get so much go forward. He does exactly what Damien does, but he can throw offload like that. That's what I think is his probably defining factor and what I see.
Well, and he can kick.
He can kick as well, but specifically just that little skill of maybe getting his hands through the tackle and getting a pass away, which Damien doesn't do. And it's not like you're losing anything on the gain line
I mean, he's
by
just
playing
as big.
Frans Steyn because he gets over it, if not more. Like, he just, he's quite a big boy.
I thought he was solid. And Kanyo Am just doing what Kanyo Am does. He
just
looked
does.
so solid. Got a nice try there as well. And then,
I think another standout, Skulk Brits. Guy that's absolute storm of playing at 8.
was having so much fun out there.
Yeah.
I
It just
know.
looked like it.
Getting offloads off, making breaks, got a try.
Well, if there was a game for it, this would have been it.
It was, and we called it about a month
Beforehand.
ago. When
Yeah.
We said he could probably captain again. So he's 2 from 2 now, 100% record is maintained.
See what he does.
The evergreen Skulk Brits tearing it up at the World Cup.
So it was a great sight.
But lekker
Yeah.
for them. Like, honestly, solid bloody show.
But biggest disappointment was Alton, just because he didn't. I just find him to be very lackadaisical on the ball.
Yeah.
Like, it's unnecessary. Take the game seriously.
Have the urgency.
Yeah, have urgency.
Do
show
something.
Show something.
Sure.
And
But
he didn't.
I thought Herschel looked decent though.
Yeah, forwards laid the platform. Any scrum
They
is going to
did,
look
but
quite solid
he's-
behind that. He is
He's
going though.
quick ball as well, like
Yeah.
decision making, his box kicks, just the right distance. I mean, do
everything
your
looked
professional
good.
scrum off, like alluding to Faf,
Yeah.
but you know what I mean.
So Vincent Koch, who came off the bench? It was Thomas du Toit,
Thomas du Toit,
flown in after Trevor's injury.
which was
And
quite
again,
big.
he looked solid, but hard to tell what he really offered. Kocha didn't have the most exciting
Yeah.
game.
He wasn't as involved as I thought he would be.
You
Yeah.
didn't need to be.
I think Skulk Brits kind of played the role we thought that he
Yes.
was going to play, if you know what I
In
mean.
that looser,
Yeah.
I really expected to see a bit more from Kocha this
Yeah.
weekend.
I was also a bit disappointed with how we finished the game. I think we got like one try in the last 20 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, it wasn't ideal. Like, the game just went super scrappy once it was done. And again, it goes back to this whole competitive nature of this World Cup, because games are like in the Argentina game against Tonga, which was earlier in the morning before the Park game. Like, Argentina had scored 4 tries and got the bonus point within
Yeah.
the first 25 minutes.
And
Never
then-
scored another point for the rest of the game.
They just like sat back.
Conserving energy because they play England next week. Like, so
They didn't need to incur any injuries.
Injuries,
yes,
Yeah.
and the same with the box. So these teams are not going to go flat out for the full 80 minutes. In these conditions, it's tough
Yeah.
as well. Like, why would you want to?
I mean, we've seen
Put
so
that
many.
there.
How many knock-ons have there been as well in the games? Just the humidity being
Like
a
we
massive
spoke
factor.
about going into this World Cup, the conditions are going to be a factor. Although apparently they should get better as the tournament goes on, as it becomes more cold in Japan.
But then saying that, the flip side, off the back of another podcast I was listening to earlier, is when they pull the covers over. That humidity factor in a stadium is ridiculous.
Yeah, they are
Like
like a
increased
handful of
handling
them.
areas just simply because of the moisture going around the air by it being trapped in. So upside and downside
Yeah, it depends. Upside, I guess.
that you
It
can
would-
play on.
Yeah, if there are massive storms or anything, you could play. But I don't think that it's much different to playing outside. Probably the humidity is equally as high.
Yeah,
and
probably
still as
exactly
tough.
the same.
So, a good performance by the Box. What
Yeah.
would you give them a rating out of 10 for the performance?
I'll give them
Forwards.
the forwards an 8, but they're generally a solid 8 anyway. But overall, I'd say a 7. Other than it was just Alton who had a poor game for me. Everybody else looked solid, or at least did their jobs to what we needed them to do.
It was a good, solid performance, something to build on. A lot of the backup players got a game. You got to keep them fit in case of obviously injuries come later in the tournament. So everybody got a good hit out without any injuries. Was solid. I'd give them a good 6.5 out of 10 for that performance. Maybe even 6. It could have been better. We're so much better than Namibia that we should have scored 100 if we played well, relatively well.
I mean, taking it for what it is, and for me, it was just happens to be a warm-up game in the group stages, just simply because it was Namibia. I mean, like, give the guys a 7 out of 10. They performed. They got the points on the board. They got the points we needed. So actually, they just did the job.
They did. That's all that they did. What they had to do.
Yeah.
Got out of there with 5
Very
points.
happy with that.
Got
So
a nice run out.
definitely something to build on. Them going into game with Italy. I'm happy.
Yeah. So should we go through some of the other results that have happened since our last pod?
Yes.
So Italy got quite a decisive win as well on the weekend.
They beat. No, that was in last week.
Yeah.
Italy beat Canada.
Oh, Canada, yeah, 48-7
7.
on
That was
Thursday.
solid. I mean, Italy looked decent. To be honest, they could give us a bit of a scare.
I think the first half might be tighter than we think.
Which might not be a bad thing. Like, if they do come out firing, you know?
You know, we could also, like we were saying about laying down a marker, we could just lay down a marker and just thrash them.
Yeah, Nick Mallet came out after the game and says we need to come out and destroy Italy
And not concede at all. Like concede maybe a try. Like
Yeah.
I mean, they look solid. Their number
But
6
Italy
is
looks
a
dangerous.
beast.
Yeah, their back row looks solid. That
And they're
Belletti.
massive as well.
Yeah, like
and so
14
skillful.
tackle busts from 11 runs or something.
Beast there's that. Yeah,
It's
a
ridiculous.
couple of line breaks in there as well.
Then the England
USA
destroyed the USA.
45-7.
Shame.
Again, not the high scores that.
It's the conditions as well. You can't
the difference
go.
between these teams.
It is the conditions. It is
Don't seem
also
that big.
guys keeping stuff in the reserve tank. Why blow out on your warm-up games? Literally, there's no point.
Yeah, I mean the US don't have a competitive team. In World Cups past, they used to at least give other teams a little bit of a scare, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas now they're not
Against
really
England,
competing.
you just gotta keep it tight against these tier 2 nations. The first red card of the tournament, going to the USA in this game, finally. And then
Was it a fair red?
yeah, it was quite dirty.
I
There
would
was
say
a
it was a
shoulder to the head
to the head.
off the ball. That's
But
quite
it was
clear
good to see. I think
Yeah.
other people can agree with that.
Everybody in the world was probably cheering
Fuck
him
that
on.
guy.
Because it was on Owen Farrell, who has
Yeah.
done this multiple times
times,
around the world.
okay.
Yeah, he did it to the Bucks last year.
Known for it. Like I saw some
Exactly.
compilations
They
on
changed
Twitter
the law
after the
because of
game.
him. Like, he used that tackle as like a guideline.
But clearly he's learned nothing.
No, well, it was
Well, it
against
was
him.
against
so,
him, yeah.
Then the Argentina beat Tonga. Was it 28-12?
28-12. But that
4
game was
tries.
done by
Yeah.
the first half. After the first half an hour already.
Hooker scores a hat-trick in the first 20 minutes.
Montoya, baby.
Montoya.
He called it though.
Another moment just before halftime in this game, which again I don't know what these people are watching, is the Lavanini shoulder
Oh, yeah,
in the
yeah.
corner, like just before halftime.
Clearly as well.
I am shocked at that is just allowed because initially the referee actually sent it upstairs and said, like, don't you want to check whether the guy grounded the ball firstly and then check for the shoulder charge or if the tackle was legal. The
Yeah.
DMO didn't even check for the tackle. He was just like, cool, and they blew it up half time. It's like, that is probably one of the clearer shoulder charges. Could have
Yeah.
been a yellow card and a penalty try. And the game is potentially completely different right
But-
before half time.
There's just no consistency. That's my main
God,
issue.
I just don't understand how you're missing that, man. Like,
I
that
don't
was
understand
a clear-cut shoulder charge.
how the TMOs are getting involved in certain games, and then other games they don't get involved at all, or they won't blow anything out, like certain things up.
Yeah.
So like,
I know
Yeah,
what you
I mean-
TMO is called upon by a ref when a ref is doubting his own decision, or there's clearly something that he missed.
What do you mean, dude? In some of the games, the TMOs have actually come
Yeah.
downstairs, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I don't
anyway,
know.
should we move on to the big one?
So,
The big Saturday
so
morning.
no, whoa. I mean, no. For me,
Springbok game.
for me, there are 1, 2, 3 massive upsets this last week, and all were wonderfully rewarding to watch.
So, well, we'll start with the big one.
Which
Japan
one's the-
beating
I was
Ireland.
about to say,
I don't
which-
think.
which
Well,
is
there
your
aren't
big
any
one?
other
Yeah.
really big ones outside of the Uruguay
Oh,
game,
Wales
which was last week.
beating Australia was why.
I wouldn't call that a
Yeah,
big.
I would have said.
Wales went in favourites into that
Yeah,
game, but the
but-
Japan versus Ireland was obviously epic. I was
Yeah.
the only one who called
That's
it.
Yes,
what
he
you
was
were the
also-
only one
He
that
He
called
was
it.
also the
I
one
felt
waking the entire bloody neighborhood with their screaming.
It was
on the
epic.
couch.
I was doing
Fukuoka
the
at the
same.
end there. I'm sure
It
there were
was.
so many people.
Dude,
around
I thought
the
he was.
world who
How
wanted
did he start
intercepted it.
celebrating like before the line? If he actually
I
just
don't
went
think he
flat
was
out.
celebrating.
He was, dude. He was looking at the crowd like,
But
the
I mean,
Francois Oka.
the world were probably going off when he intercepted that ball.
It was game over at that moment.
Yeah.
It was the best.
Yeah, Ireland. What are your thoughts? I mean,
No, they-
not many people called it. You guys, Subals, you went with a
Like 20
40,
points.
dude.
Did I say
You
40? I
called
said they could beat
he
them by
called Ireland
40,
by
dude.
40
Did you?
last week.
Yeah.
I think
You
I,
also said quite a big
No, I
score.
didn't go massive though. I think I had like 18. But to
So
be
things fall apart,
fair,
eh?
yeah, literally.
But I had a feeling, even just before the game, I was like, if this game is tight, which it could be, if the game is tight going into the second half or later on,
Yeah.
like Japan were just gonna come strong. And what a lot of people haven't factored in is the crowd factor. And the fact that these players play in these conditions all the time. No other country who's at this World Cup plays in those conditions or trains in those conditions
But I mean, it
all
showed.
the time.
It showed. 25 minutes in,
They,
Ireland
yeah.
were absolutely knackered.
I thought they were dominating.
In the first 25 minutes,
Yeah.
yes.
But-
They were 12-3 up. They got a couple
Guys,
of tries.
them going into the change rooms at half time, I mean, the guys were practically dragging themselves into the tunnel.
Yeah, they
no
were
one was
definitely
liking
the
it.
team who needed the break more.
Yeah, I mean, Japan were on the up going into halftime. And they missed that penalty as well just before halftime, which would
Yes.
have tied up the scores.
The score was 12-9 at halftime.
Yeah.
I just knew it. Like, I even said just at halftime, Ireland are going to have to win this game in the next 10 or 15 minutes.
otherwise they're
Straight
finished.
after halftime. Because there's no ways
Yeah,
that
they needed
if the
to-
game is going to be super tight, that they were going to have that extra edge over Japan. Just because the 16th man is the crowd.
It is,
And
but
they
also...
were going insane. Once it was tight like
Let's-
that,
yeah, it was.
Japan ran everything. They played complete rugby. I
But
don't
they-
think we've seen a performance that complete in this whole
looked
tournament yet.
Fresh, they look strong.
They were so fit, man.
Yeah.
Look, you can't factor in how the crowd's gonna affect the game until it's in those conditions at the time. You can't feel that before you know what I mean? Ireland couldn't have been prepared for those
No,
conditions.
But what Ireland
at
could
all.
have been prepared for was the conditioning, and I think that's where it fell
It's
apart.
hard. It's
don't
easy
think
to
so.
say that, but
Yeah.
like, there's the massive difference. All of these teams are. I mean, these are the world's best teams here. They are all conditioned so well.
Yeah, but the
They've
difference
definitely
is
been
Japan-
preparing in those
It's just-
conditions a
yes,
lot longer
It's
as well.
just the mental of having played. You've got the crowd behind you in that tight game, and Japan were relentless.
Yeah, they
There
were.
was not one
were
stage where
so
they
good.
let off the foot. Like every kick and chase they chased every ball from the first minute to the last minute. Like the intensity was up throughout. If you look at the way this tournament has been going, and like a lot of other teams have been playing a different game plan. So a lot of kicking. So less ball in play. But Japan kind of, dude, they went through the phases relentlessly. They kept possession for long periods of play. Like Ireland couldn't handle them.
Look, I would
Lappies
say that
everywhere.
he was having
There
a
were-
storm or getting line breaks.
What I
everything.
will say is Kazuki Himeno is one of the players of the tournament so far. He's an absolute beast. Yeah, Michael Leach came off the bench after the Mafia injury and also played his part. That loose trio is one of the best in the world. Yeah, and their scrum. Their scrum and their line-out. Their line-out, they didn't lose one, which is massive against a Tier 1 nation. Maybe they were underestimated, but they never let anything.
At times,
They
Japan,
won
I
a
mean,
scrum
Ireland weren't
penalty,
even,
dude.
yeah, Ireland weren't even competing at the line-outs half of the time
They
as
won
well.
a scrum penalty off of Ireland. Nobody saw that coming. So out-enthused, outskilled even.
I thought Ireland didn't offer anything.
Ireland
That second
were-
half, it was all Japan.
Even in that
from
first
the first
20,
minute.
In that first 20, when they scored the 2 tries, they were both from little 50-50 kicks.
Yeah, the
That-
cross-field kicks. But that's been the general trend for
general
try
theme.
scoring, especially from Northern Hemisphere nations.
Yes, but
in this
that,
tournament.
yeah, like the second one was a little chip and then it bobbled back to
Yeah, just
like
like
Rob
worked
Carney
out.
and he got it there. So it's not like they were creating much. They didn't create anything in the whole game.
Compared to Japan,
Compared to
especially.
Japan, who were just relentless. It was impressive to see. They are looking like a potential dark horse in this tournament now. Now everybody is on full alert because that crowd is a massive factor and
I'd say all the Northern Hemisphere teams are
Just
should be worried, but I would, us, Australia, New Zealand, I think we all probably walk over Japan.
we'll see.
jeez,
I'm not really
if
convinced,
Japan's
but-
on their day.
If
Um,
Japan, guys, I think it's just the universe. Japan beating Ireland, if they beat Scotland, who they play, Scotland have the short break when they play Scotland.
Yeah, they've
So,
got a 4-day turnaround.
If
so,
they beat Scotland and finish top of their group, we'll play them.
yes,
I think
in the
it's
quarter.
written in the
And
stars.
I would
It's
back us in
written
that game.
in the
I can't
stars.
see us losing to them in a knockout game.
I can't see us
But-
losing to them again for a while at least.
Yeah.
I
It
think
won't be done.
the memory's
famous
still
last
too
words.
fresh.
Another game, Georgia Uruguay. That was a little bit of a blowout. A lot of people called Uruguay to win after their famous win against
Immense.
Fiji
Wasn't
last
Exactly.
year.
even close.
Yeah, but Georgia just were clinical. They forward back.
Just
Mm.
beastly.
They've got one of the best in the world. Like they could compete with the top tier
They were
nations
so
in
good.
the forwards.
Was their number 8? That dude
Yeah.
is massive. And
So they just
so
scrammed and mauled.
mauled
And
the whole time.
yeah,
That's all they needed to do
too
though.
easy. Uruguay also got a red card in the game. That was the second one in the tournament. But otherwise, as it went to script, Georgia are the better team. They are ranked above Uruguay, so a good win there.
Yeah.
Another controversial game.
Controversial. Oh, because apparently it wasn't an upset when I said it was.
Well, it wasn't an upset, but there was some controversy. I mean, shall we just start? So, Wales, Australia, of course. And I think everybody just wants to talk about the Karevi. What the
The
fuck?
Kerevi incident.
What was up with that?
Who fucking knows, man? Nobody
These
knows.
guys are making up their own rules, man.
Because
You're not allowed.
so for those who
to
haven't seen
tackle-
it, it was basically a bump off that Kerevi ended up getting a yellow card as the it was just a penalty.
Karevi
against
was
him.
the ball carrier. He had the ball in both of his hands, and he kind of just ran into the guy.
Yeah,
And they
quite
called it a
true.
leaning arm, which like rode up from the chest and hit the dude in the throat.
While pushing him off.
And they only showed it in slow mo. They didn't show it once in real time.
In this situation, Roman Poit has gotten a lot of flack, I would say, from lots of people
Well,
because
for
he is
these-
Roman Poit and he is a bit of a twat.
Well, for all these exotic referee calls, I mean, what else?
But I blame the TMO in this situation
No, he could have got a
because
call.
Where did that even come from?
basically they showed a replay. They showed a replay of the bounce. And then a player was down, as is now the case while they're showing replays. If there's a player down, anything can happen. Like, you
Yeah.
could get a red card just because they'll be showing replays of random hits within the game.
Yeah.
And then Bensky, New Zealander, comes down and like basically coaxed the referee to have a look at it. Initially, when Roman Poit saw the thing, he didn't even know what he was looking at when he saw the incident.
Yes.
He wasn't even sure what
Yeah.
they were asking him to look at. So the TMO kind of forced this penalty
did.
to happen. It's not like the
You
ref could
could
be like,
find,
oh, but
you could find that
he
exact
didn't
incident
see anything.
basically all the time throughout the games, especially
Almost most
all
contacts.
forwards,
If you're
yeah.
going high, like Michael Hooper said, and he also got a lot of shit, which I thought was a bit over the top, because as a captain, you should be asking these questions. You need clarification.
And are you not
You've
allowed
always played
to
the game this
bounce
way.
someone,
Yeah,
dude?
nowadays as the
That's
ball
not-
carrier, like
Well,
how
in
you're
the-
getting penalized,
Guys.
makes no sense to me.
We've all seen that photo of Bowden Barrett on Cheslin Colby.
Yes.
Should that not be cited now?
That should be a red card potentially,
factor.
elbow to the face.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, as
purposeful.
as Michael,
And it changed
as,
the whole game. This incident we talked
Yeah,
about.
so that was a penalty. They kicked the
kicked
goal,
the
and then
kick
like
point.
2 minutes later, they scrum off.
Yeah,
also,
from the kickoff, there was an intercept.
yeah, but also that was a mile offside for me. I don't know, dude.
I am not convinced that it was.
I thought he
offside.
was at least a meter and a half offside.
People
he was
think he
running,
was.
dude.
I think that he was fine. He just read the play. Either way, it just shows how one refereeing decision that makes no sense can change the whole momentum of a game. So we look back at all of these other games that we've spoken about where referees have been shit, like the All Black game, like the Argentina game. It just shows how one moment, that's 10 points, which, if anything, should have been Australia were on the attack when all of this happened, I think.
Yeah. Karevi was going forward.
In
dude.
Wales off. Now you're 10 points further back than you were when Australia were actually played really well.
and also, if all things considered, as an Australian player, you look at that call and you just go, well, mate, what the fuck must I do? Are we playing touch rugby here? Or are we playing contact rugby?
going
Yeah. But I mean, there was still a lot of positives for
There
them to
was.
take out
There
of the
was
game.
still-
They played so well in that second half.
What also is that Wales are actually not that great. Like, they were playing Australia.
They're not underdogs.
They were not.
No, they
underdogs.
were favourites
They're
going to
mine.
the game.
They were your underdogs, but
Yeah.
they were not that good. I thought their pack would at least be on parity, if not dominant, over the Australian
Yeah.
pack. Where Australia won every single phase. They won the collisions, they won the line out, they won both set
Meters
pieces,
gained.
the scrums. They were destroying Wales at the scrum. They won a few line outs, they stole a few line outs. Wales were not in this game at all.
They
Like
offered
at
nothing
no
on attack
stage.
either.
Yeah, again, it came down to a little cross kick that they scored. I think both their tries.
No, the one was the intercept
the
and-
intercept
yeah.
and a cross kick. So, like Ireland, they're not creating anything. They're not generating go forward in their forwards. Their lineouts and their scrums are not as good as they think they are because they're actually shit. Like, dude, if Japan are taking penalties off you as a scrum,
Yeah,
as a
you
scrum,
know.
if your lineout is losing lineouts to Japan
Or Australia.
or Australia, where South Africa's B team were destroying these Oaks, and we would hammer them with our third or fourth team, either, or at least,
Or at
our
least,
parity,
yeah, it would
like,
be a good
comfortably.
game. So, I don't know. We'll see as the tournament
I'd be worried
progresses.
if I were Wales and Ireland. At this point, I can't see them going past the quarterfinal stages. Both of these teams, Ireland and Wales.
I know, whereas going into the tournament, I thought Ireland could have gone
just
far.
thought they
and-
That would be good.
That's it as well.
And also, what we've noticed is that they have faded way more
Yeah.
than the other teams, like Ireland and Wales now. And maybe it goes back to what we spoke about before the World Cup, is having all of those tough fixtures all the time, like in the build-up to the World Cup.
Yeah.
They
Like,
had
they were
like
playing,
3 or 4 tough
other.
games against each other.
which made no sense.
Yeah, you would want your team to be super fresh going into this World Cup. It's just interesting to see because Wales were nowhere. I think Australia had 82% possession in the second half or something.
Jeez.
And yeah, Wales barely got away with that. It was a good game though. Another good World Cup game.
Yeah.
Wales
anyway.
snuck it at the end.
It's just another pool affected by the referee or the TMO.
Like most of
Or
all of the
not.
pools so far have been affected by bad refereeing or questionable refereeing.
Well, it's putting a bit of a damper on things because now you have players questioning, will this get blown up? Won't this get blown up? What are the rules? How do we play to the rules? And where the fuck do we stand with the refs?
Yeah, so Michael Checker came out after the Australian game and he said, like, the referees seem spooked. They've been pressurized by World Rugby after, obviously, the statement
After
post
the first
round
week.
one.
Yeah.
Now they may be just looking for things, like they don't want to miss a small little, little head knock.
Yeah, his exact words.
And it's pedantic now. It's becoming
Yeah.
a point where
They're ultra
the
cautious about
TMO,
everything.
since when is the TMO coming down? I thought this was only for serious foul play, that referees have missed. And for them to check the Karevi one. There was
Joke.
another one that was like also checked. And
Which there was a Reece Hodge one.
no, in the same game, Australia, where the Welsh guy tackled one of the Australian
Oh, yeah,
guys
yeah.
around. But the referee had allowed played on. It was just
But
one
he
of those
gave it,
contacts.
he only
within the
gave
game.
it because he gave the previous one against Karevi. Because
Yes, so
usually
the
that's fine, that
TMO
contact
kind of
is
again
fine.
had come down and told him blah blah blah. But this now dictates. This comes down to also there's a player on the ground injured. They are showing multiple replays of the last phase,
That's
5
the only
phases,
th-
and
'cause it's
in
also the
every
crowd.
phase you can find head contact. Where does it all end? They need to either stop showing
Broadcasting,
these
yeah.
replays while players are down because
Yeah. Either like while the game
it's
is
opening
ongoing.
up a can because you're not checking everything then, because you can't just check now that a player's down. Oh, there's a replay that they can show on the big screen and the fans are going
Either
crazy.
replay them all or don't replay any.
Yes, and the TMO also needs to be cognizant. He needs to be watching the game in real time, because that's what I've noticed is that how is he seeing these contacts only post like while they're showing
Yes,
the
where there's
replays?
a
Are you
delay.
fucking not watching the game, mate? Like, it's your job to be looking out for foul play like this. Let's not even talk about the assistant referees who are.
They're really.
I mean,
They're
They're
basically
non-stop.
cardboard
they don't
cutouts.
do
of
anything
humans.
half of the time. It makes no sense.
They are
But-
the most useless. They're getting paid for the shit, man. Like, really,
It's
they're just
ridiculous.
running with a flag and they're getting paid.
I mean,
Like, decent cash for this.
there's also been that whole thing about like, do you think like the tier 1 nations are getting favored by the referees? To be honest, I feel like the Northern Hemisphere
not tier 1.
are getting
yeah.
favored to the max. Like in
But
so
that we
many
expect.
50-50s.
I kind of expected that. We all, how World Rugby is.
Yeah, but the
Their
thing is,
biggest gripe is that the Southern Hemisphere has won 7 out of
The
8
8
World
World
Cups.
Cups.
And they want that gap to be closer. But, so
But you
now
can't- New
Wales
Zealand-
and France are
No,
winning
it's a-
those tight games where the refs are giving them those
but it's
50-50s.
a tournament. You cannot contrive the results to
This has
suit
been
your
This has
own
happening.
always
This has
happened.
always been a thing. So Northern Hemisphere and New Zealand have always been favoured because that they generate the money. That World Rugby, that's the commercial kind of arm. And now that Japan is also like obviously an emerging nation, that's where they generate all of their capital.
Then
I'm
don't
not saying
fucking
that
call it
they
the Rugby
are.
World
It
Cup and
is
don't
cheating
call
or
it a
rigging, but
tournament.
there is this assumed
No, it's a
we
con-
bias basically.
And by having bias alone, you are ultimately rigging the outcome of that game because you're
Yes.
not on a fair starting block.
Okay, but this is what I'm going to say. And going back to now, France winning that little tight one against Argentina and Wales also getting the rub of the green. New
Interesting.
Zealand as well. When these teams, when Wales, who are not as good as we all thought they
were.
are going to come to a knockout game where there's a team who's going to be, if you just gain parity, you win, you'll beat them because they are not that good, if that makes sense. So that's why they don't win these tournaments. They will never win these tournaments because they aren't as good as the Southern Hemisphere. So when it comes to those few percentages in a knockout game, to win 3 knockout games in a row is almost impossible for these teams because they are so limited in what they can do.
Yeah.
But the
yeah,
difference,
so
but the
I'm
difference,
not worried about, like, I'm so much less worried about Ireland and Wales now. If we play
It's
them,
just England, I guess.
Yeah.
We still, but to
And
be
even then, we
they
haven't-
haven't
they
even
haven't
been
played well.
tested. We
Yeah.
haven't seen them, and
they might not even make it out the group at this stage. Like Argentina and France could beat them. Literally,
I mean,
this could happen.
we're gonna see.
We saw it at the last World Cup. So, It's going to be interesting, but yeah, none of these teams have scared me. And in the sports week, it's kind of showed, if anything, like, fuck, the Southern Hemisphere teams, like Australia looked so good. They played some of the
So
best
well.
rugby I've
On
seen
the
in this
front foot
tournament.
as
Front
well.
football. Japan did the same. Yeah.
I mean,
New Zealand, you know, what you're
Us
going to
and
get.
New Zealand,
Argentina
you know.
as well. It's going to be
I wouldn't be
interesting.
surprised if Argentina beat England, but I think it's going to be the England-France that's going to decide that group
Or the-
for me. I think Argentina could sneak it.
Yeah, they could.
In England,
I think Argentina are going to beat England, but I mean, we'll get to that when the games are upcoming. But anyway, we didn't even touch on the Scotland-Samoa earlier.
This morning.
It was just a clinical, I mean, it was scrappy.
All they needed was the 5 points. Scotland know that, just keep
Two
it tight.
penalty tries. The same winger gave away both penalty tries.
I didn't get to watch the game, but
Well, to be fair,
it
Scotland
didn't seem
just
like a great game.
Scotland just needed points on the board, and that's exactly what they did.
Yeah,
I mean,
they
I
got
watched the
5
game and I
points.
thought it was just scrappy. Scotland, I mean, they needed a solid performance after they lost to Ireland as well. So I think that was good
keep
to see.
themselves in the running by beating Samoa.
Yeah,
but
but
the pool of death now.
I think
basically.
Japan will probably walk over them.
Yeah, so now
I wouldn't be
Japan are
surprised.
in the pound seat to win that group. If they beat Scotland and Samoa, the chances are it will be that showdown
Yeah, will be.
of the Bucks versus Japan. I'm really hoping for it because
I think it's written in the stars. I think everybody knows that it's.
I can't see Japan not qualifying from it,
I think
basically.
they
But
definitely
it's just
qualify.
whether they qualify first or second. I have the feeling that Ireland are still going to win the group for some reason. Like, just
I
somehow
feel like Scotland are
they're
going to
gonna
get a result against Japan.
Yeah, which could happen, but again, Scotland coming off the short week and Japan having an 8-day rest for that last game might be the difference. We'll see. It's all boiling down into a nice. That's the only pool that's really competitive at this stage. We'll
other
find
than
out
the-
this weekend the England,
Yeah,
Argentina, France. Because if
Pretty much.
Argentina loses this weekend, it's done.
Yeah,
Like,
it's done.
They're out.
France and England are basically through.
So it's shaping up nicely.
Yeah, I mean,
We finally warmed up with a couple of good games. There was a big shock with the Japan versus Ireland. So the tournament's finally alive. I'm sure, like in Japan, the whole country has woken up
definitely.
and
After
finally
that
figured
performance
out
the other day,
there's
it was
a
sensational.
World Cup happening.
If they hadn't already, but
So
I mean,
what up and coming fixtures?
So yeah, I mean,
for
on
this week?
Wednesday we start off with France, USA. Should just be a
Very nice to get some
easy-
points on the board.
Yeah, France
Yeah.
again. I think these teams are just literally looking for the four.
I think France have made like
four try
5
bonus
changes
points.
or something for that game,
Yeah.
and then
Teams
New
are just
Zealand.
looking for the 5
New
points.
Zealand,
New Zealand, Canada. New Zealand will probably
Once
put like
again.
70, 80 on them. I
Yep.
wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised.
I'm expecting at least 80 points.
But
At
just
least could be
even New
100.
Zealand's second team, like
Rico's back.
he
Danny
could score like
Paul, Jack
5.
Goodhue. Yeah, Rico's gonna score at least 30 this week.
Georgia against Fiji on Thursday. Georgia will probably take it by what, 15?
I don't know. We'll see. That's gonna be a good game. Like those teams are actually quite.
I mean, because
relatively
they're both
evenly
pretty
matched.
physical,
Yeah.
but I think Fiji. I'm gonna go with a little
Fiji have a point to prove after their loss to.
Yes.
I mean,
Uruguay.
Fiji left by less than 10, I'd say.
It's gonna be
It's
a
going to
good
be a
game.
tight game, definitely.
That's a good game.
Ireland, Russia will
Yeah.
just be.
The Island
Yeah,
just
Ireland just trying
getting
to get
their
the 5
dignity
points. I don't think they're gonna.
Well, I think they're going to
overextend
try, but I think
themselves.
Russia will. I mean, we'll have a little bit of a showing at least for the start of the game, but Ireland should fumble
They'll
them.
score at least 40 or 50.
Yeah, they will. And then it's the big one for us at least. This
Yeah.
is the decider.
This is the decider, the big game against Italy on Friday.
Why does it have to be during
what-
working hours?
Yeah, what are our thoughts going into this one?
Lay down a marker, boys.
Lay down a marker, get the win.
Yeah,
Potentially get the 5
all we need
points.
is the win, pretty much at this stage.
just get the win, play smart, keep the injury rate low,
Yeah,
and
no injuries.
we good.
Just keep the momentum going at this stage.
Yep.
Yeah.
This weekend, there's the big one with
England, Argentina.
on Saturday.
Before that, we have
Yeah.
Australia against Uruguay, though.
That's another
Which is-
potential 60, 70, 80 points.
Well,
to
I think
Australia.
it'll just be like a 50, probably. I don't see.
Max 50.
They probably won't go all out, like we've been discussing. And then, England, Argentina, 10 o'clock on Saturday.
That's a biggie. That's basically a pool decider. So
Is the pool decider at least?
Argentina need to win. They have to win the game. So it's going to be epic. If they can pull it off, then anything's possible. England might be in trouble.
France might be either England or France could be in trouble. So
You never know.
Then there's Japan Samoa on at 12:30.
Yeah, big game for Japan. Again,
just need to keep the momentum going.
they just need
they'll
to
take it.
win. If anything,
win.
try and get the bonus point.
Yeah.
Because it might prove vital at the end.
At least from what we saw from today's game, Samoa are shit. Like they are.
What has happened in this...
CPC is
yeah.
absolute shit.
What we've noticed in this World Cup is that the island nations are not that good. They're getting worse. Like, they're getting a lot worse.
Do you think it's the conditions though? They're all massive
They're
oaks,
used to it,
dude.
though. They're all from Pacific Islands where
Is that us
it's
just making an
90% humidity.
assumption?
No, it's not.
Yeah, but remember, how many
What?
of those guys are actually training there? Most of them are playing
Yeah, playing in France, but still,
So
it's the point is that they haven't been good. None of them have been competitive at all, actually. Fiji in spurts
Even
against...
Fiji are
against
getting
Australia.
beaten by Uruguay though.
Yeah,
So.
it's not very good for world rugby actually to see the island nations
At
looking
all.
this bad.
Especially for
and I don't
not
see it
at all
changing.
what we've been expecting.
I'm expecting more landslide results against the island nations.
Yeah, most likely. I mean,
Disappointingly.
yeah, and then the last couple of fixtures from the weekend before the next round would be, I think it's New Zealand, Namibia,
yep.
which
Yeah.
will probably be another 70.
Potential 100.
Potential.
I'm definite 100.
New Zealand
There's
won't
no ways
stop.
New Zealand are not going to put 100 points past Namibia. If we scored almost 60 and we played so badly,
Yeah,
they are definitely scoring 100 points in that game.
definitely. And then France to end off the weekend's proceedings.
Yes.
France against Tonga.
France
France
against
probably
Tonga.
take it about
So
24.
Tonga have already upset them before at the World Cup 2011. But
They're not looking
It's
as
not
good
they
this
look
time around.
so bad.
Like we
man.
were saying, the island nations,
Yeah.
it's just not.
If you look at the Argentina game, Tonga versus Argentina, they actually weren't that bad for the last 60 minutes.
I didn't think they were too bad against England either, to be honest.
So you never know with the French. They could lose that game. It's happened before. Literally.
Their team is more solid than it's been in recent years.
They've got a lot of depth.
I mean,
So-
this team's definitely for the next World Cup, I would say. The French team,
Lots of youngsters coming
Yeah.
through.
especially at halfback. But yeah,
It's
Interesting
been a great week actually. Outside of the refereeing controversies, we've had a couple of good games. The Japan Island game kind of took the focus off of the refereeing for a little bit.
I'm also
and-
glad there wasn't any refereeing controversy in that
Yes,
game
they
would've ruined
specifically.
it.
Yeah.
Japan, it was all Japan in that second half though.
It was a really world-class performance from Japan, and I think everybody will be on notice now. Nobody's going to be caught off guard. But yeah, so
Right, guys. So that rounds it up for this week's podcast. And
yeah,
when
come
are
on
we?
your booker.
When are we dropping the next one?
Let's just keep doing what we're doing.
We
Probably
can do
next
one-
week
We
Monday
can do it all.
for the next round of proceedings.
Yeah.
Yeah, did
Or
say
we can
well.
do a preview before the Bok game, a short one.
Yeah,
Maybe a
let
10,
us know.
15 minutes.
If you're keen, let us know.
But yeah, if not, we'll chat to you guys next week.
Sweet.
Cheers,
guys.
guys.
Enjoy the rugby.